Sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yes, sincere apologies. I was actually muted. That's nice. Okay, so yes, so as I was saying, so in the last class we talked about animations, okay, motion layouts to be precise, where we created animations with motion layouts. Okay, we animated based on drag events, and then we looked into how we can modify a path. Okay, so we were able to, animations, well, this is just a straight line, a straight path. Okay, we were also able to animate based on drag events, when we drag this and take this down. Okay, and then also we looked at modifying a path. Okay, where we learn to use keyframes to modify a path between the start and end. And then we have this where we click on the moon, we see we modify the path. It's not just going through a straight path. So we actually modified that. And one of the things we said that the start and the end constraints, okay, they are never modified by the key position. So the key position does not modify that, okay? And we said like, what's a key position? So a key position, it modifies the path a view takes between the start and the end constraint set. Okay, that's basically what the key position does. And it can only change the path during the animation. It cannot change it at the start or at the end. Okay, so that's just to do a brief recap. So even if a view is following a complex path, just like this one, okay, the start and end constraints, that's the start and then the end constraints, will always rest at their initial or final position. So when I click this, it goes back to the initial position, and then of course our text, height. Okay, so that's actually that. So the next thing, what we're going to be looking at today is to understanding the key position type. Okay, so we actually use the key position here, and the key position we actually used was the key position type was the parent relative. And we use it to offset the path by 50% of the screen. Okay, so this attribute key position type, okay, this attribute key position type, it determines how the motion layout will modify the path according to the %x or the %y. That's the x and the y axis, okay? So there are different types of key positions, okay? We have the parent relative, we have the path relative, and then we have the delta relative. So specifying a type, okay, we'll change the coordinate system by which the %y and the %x are actually calculated. So what's this coordinate system? So basically your coordinate system, it gives you a way to specify a point in space, okay? And it's actually useful for describing a position on the phone screen, okay, on your screen. So the motion layout coordinate system, okay? The coordinate system for the motion layouts, they are just your Cartesian coordinate system, your x and your y axis kind of thing, okay? So let me do something like this. Let me pick a pen. Okay, so you have this, okay, let me draw this. So this is the coordinate system, okay? So we have something like this. So this is going to be x, and then this is going to be y. Okay, good. So this actually just sounds like algebra. So let's look at this now. So for the parent coordinates, okay, let's look at the parent relative. So this is for the parent relative, okay? So you can have, so let's say we have little lines like this, points, okay? We have this also, okay? So we could have, and then let's see, could have another one here, and then, okay, so good. So you could have a widget here at this point. You could also have one, let's say, so let's use just this for the parent relative now, okay? Let me just increase this a bit. And then we could have one here, another widget here. So now the key position type of parent relative uses the same coordinate system as you're seeing here. Okay, so these are 0, okay, origin. Okay, so the key position type of parent relative uses the same coordinate system as the screen. So it defines the 0, it defines 0, 0 on the top left. So just take this now, focus more on just this one that I'm trying to highlight, just this, okay, yeah, just this one. So this other side, so this is where we're looking at now. Let me use another color to signify. So we're just focusing on this axis, okay, just this. So let me change this back to blue. So it defines a 0, 0 on to the top left of the entire motion layout and 1, 1 to the bottom right. Okay, 0, 0 to the top left and 1, 1 to the bottom right. So what do I mean? So this is a 0, 0 here. Let's change this color. So this is a 0, 0. This point is a 0, 0. And then we can now have a 1, 1. So when that means X and Y is 1 for the bottom right. Okay, so you can use parent relative whenever you want to make an animation that moves through the entire motion layout, just like we had the, like our moon arc, okay, our moon arc in the application, okay? Let me just show that again. I think yeah. So just like this, using the parent relative, okay, 0, 0 to the left, 1, 1 to the right. So use it when you want to make an animation that moves through the entire motion layout. Okay, but however, if you want to modify a path relative to the motion, just like this curve, okay, the other two coordinate systems are actually better. And what are they? The delta relative coordinates. Okay, so this is the delta relative coordinates. So let me pick up this again. So hold on. Let's close this out. And then, okay, so let's draw this here. So for the delta relative, okay, we have this. This is your X, and then this is your Y, okay? So this here, let's take here to be 1.0, okay? And then here, let's use 1.0, okay? So your widget will now be here. So this is our widget, okay? And then you can now have a widget here. Okay, so of course, can have our lines. Can even have one here, and then yeah, it may not be too good at trying this. What is it? Okay, so this is the delta relative coordinates. Okay, now delta is actually a math term, okay, for change. Okay, that's basically is a math term for change. So delta relative is just a way of saying change relative. Okay, so in delta relative coordinates, with 0, 0 is the starting point. Okay, 0, 0, which is here, is the starting position of the view. And 1, 1 is the end position. Okay, I'll take that again. 0, 0 is the starting position of the view. And then 1, 1 is the end position, that is 1. So if you see here on the x-axis, this is 1. On the y-axis, this is what? 1. Okay, so this is the start and this is the end. Okay, so the x and y axis are aligned with the screen. Now, but the x-axis is always horizontal on the screen, like you know, and then the y-axis is the vertical on the screen. So if you compare to the parent relative, the main difference is that the coordinates describes just the part of the screen in which the view will be moving. Okay, so compared to parent relative, the main difference is that the coordinates now, okay, it just describes just the part of the screen that in which the view will be moving. So delta relative is actually a very good coordinate system for controlling the horizontal and vertical motion in isolation. So for example, you could create an animation that let's say completes just its vertical Y movement at 50%. Okay, maybe just a vertical Y movement at 50% and continues animating horizontally. Okay, so just to note, okay, coordinates in delta relative are relative to the motion of the view. So if the view moves to the right, X will go to the right. If the view moves to the left, X will go to the left. Similarly, the Y dimension will follow the view, and go up and down. And you can also use negative values or values larger than 1.0 if you want the view to, bounce past the start or stop position. Okay. So another thing also to note is that the coordinates of the delta relative will expand or shrink based on the distance the view moves in both X and Y direction. Okay, so you'll get to understand when we get to use it actually, in case you're not really picking up some of these theoretical stuff that I'm saying. So basically, if you have a view that doesn't move very much at all, that doesn't move very much or at all in one direction, like it doesn't just move just one direction, or it doesn't move much at all, then delta relative won't create a useful coordinate system in that direction. For example, a view that moves horizontally from right to left will not actually have a useful y-axis in delta relative because it's just going from right to left. That's just X. Okay. So let's now look at the last coordinate system, which is the path relative. Okay, the path relative. So let me pick another color. So for the path relative, so let's say we have a widget here. Okay, let's say we have a widget here. So this is the path relative. So I'm going to draw this. This is for Y. Okay, and then take this to, let's say, somewhere here. And then this is for X. So this is the path. Sorry, I'm trying to spell. Okay. Okay, so that's the path. Okay, so yeah, let's say 1.0. Okay. And then we have a widget here. So let's say there's a widget here. Okay, that's x-axis. There's a widget there. Okay. And then, of course, we can have this, to actually show that it's an actual coordinate system. Okay, then, oh, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so that's let me close this out. Thinking it's a pick. Okay. Yeah, so this, then this. Okay. So this is the last coordinate system in motion layout. Okay, the path relative, and it's quite different from the other two. Because the way you can see the x-axis, okay, follows the motion path from start to end. Okay, so starting position is 0, 0. Okay, and end position is 1, 0. Okay, is what 1, 0. So the 1, for the x, it has gotten to 1, but on y, it is still on 0. It hasn't gone up. Okay, so that's actually that's the third one, the path relative. Now, of course, why would you actually want to, want this? So, of course, it turns out that the path relative is really useful for a few things. Number one, speeding up, slowing down, or stopping a view during part of the animation. So since the x dimension will always match the path the view takes exactly, you can use path relative key position to change which frame position a particular point in the path is reached. So a key position at frame position of 50 with a percent or percent X of like 0.1 would actually cause the animation to take 50% of the time to travel, the first 10% of the motion, okay? And you can also use it to add an arc to a path. You can use it to add a second dimension, when delta relative will not, is not actually working, very much for you. So these are just a few things to note. So let's move on and see how we can build more complex paths. More complex paths. Let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to clean this now. So let's clear all those drawings we have here, and then let's move on. So so based on the animation we built the last time, okay, it actually creates a a smooth curve, creates a smooth curve, but the shape could be more moon-like. Okay, so basically let's do something. So let's modify a path with multiple key position elements. Let's see how we can modify a path with multiple key position elements. So motion layout can modify a path further by defining as many key positions as needed to get a motion. So for this animation, we'll build an arc, okay, but we could make the moon jump up and down in the middle of the screen if we actually want. So let's do that. So I'm going to open step 4. So our step 4.xml, okay, so it actually has the same view and keyframe that we actually used in the last one. Okay, it has exactly the same thing. Okay, so to round out the top of the curve, that is, we want to add 2 more key positions to the path of the moon. One before it reaches the top and the one after it reaches the top. Okay, so let's do that. So let's add 2 more key positions. So I could just copy this, paste this here, paste this here. So the first one, I want the key position. Okay, let's do percent Y of 0.6, percent Y of 0.6 for both of them. But this one, I want the frame position to be 25, and then I want this to be 75. So just before it curves and after, it curves. So you can see that. So these key positions, this one, they will be applied 25% and 75% of the way through the animation, and to cause the moon to move through a path that is 60%, which is 0.6, 60% from the top of the screen, because I'm using percent Y, 60% from the top of the screen. So combined with the existing one that we have at, for 50% of the screen, okay, combined with that, it will actually create a smooth arc for the moon to follow. Okay, so we can actually, let me just run this. So in motion layouts, you can add as many key positions as you need to get the motion path you want. So what happens is that motion layouts will apply each key position at the specified frame position, and it will figure out how to create a smooth motion that goes through all key positions. Okay, so we still have some stuff to do. So let's run this. So I'm going to now go to step 4, where what we just did to build complex paths, okay, where we added that. So I'm going to click on this now. So if you look here, we have these 2 stuff that we have, 2 points here, okay, key position. So it gives you much more smooth stuff. You can notice, so when you click on it, when it gets there, it's just that. So let me run the previous one and you see the difference. So when you click on this, you see the speed, it just slides down, goes up, slides down. But here, it gives something far more smoother. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Let me take out this. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. So just to reiterate, okay, a key position always defines an, so a key position always defines an X, a Y, okay, a width and a height position. Okay, it defines an X, a Y, a width, and a height position that the view must move through during the transition from start to end. So if you don't specify one dimension, it will have a default value of 0 or an appropriate value based on the the frame position. So in this example, we're actually specifying only %y. So the %x keeps its default value for that. Okay, so you can actually explore on your own and do a lot of things. So let's just play around. Okay, let's play around. Let me just clear this out quickly. So I want to add, let's just add a key position with a different stuff. So let's say 25, but now let's use %x. Let's just play around. Okay, this should be uppercase. Let's just play around. What will this do? So you can play around with that. Okay, so to see what it gives you. So let's see what that does. Okay, so yeah, we have keep stopping. So let's see if we can check out what the error is. Let's try that again. Okay, so what do we have? Okay, index size of size 3. Okay, index out of bounds. Okay, and then okay, so let's do something else. Let's do something. Okay, I think I have. So let's take this out, and instead let's do something like this. So we give it a y, and then we give it an x. So let this have 0.1. Okay, let me just copy this. Okay, is that the first one? Okay, no. Let this have 0.1. Let this have a 0.3. And let this come back to 0.1. Okay, so let's see what this does. Let's see what this would actually give us. Let's see what this key position, this update we have made to the key position. Let's see. So let's rerun that. Okay, so yeah, so building complex parts. Okay, so you can see the path that we have actually just done. So when I click on this, you see. So you can actually see what we've actually just done right now. So the first one, it has a keyframe. So for the Y, we have a 0.5, okay, which is here. And then the %x is actually what? 1%, okay? That's 1% of the x axis, yes. And then we have the second key position, which takes place at the 25% of the screen, yes. And then we have the one for 75%, okay? So this is what it gives us. This is what it gives us, okay? So yeah, so that's actually that. So let's move on, okay? So let's talk about keyframes, okay? Let's talk about keyframes, okay? Well, I think let's see if we can change some attributes during motion. Now, when you're building dynamic animations, okay, basically you're changing the size, the rotation, or the alpha of views as the animation progresses. So motion layers actually supports animating many attributes on any view using a key attribute. So we're going to use the key attributes to make this moon, okay, to make it scale and rotate. So we'll use a key attribute to delay the appearance of the text until the moon has almost completed its journey. So first thing first, let's resize and rotate with key attributes. Now, if you go to the step 5.xml, okay, so it actually contains the same thing, the last stuff we did in the, the previous one, okay, except the Y that we actually added. Okay, so to actually make the moon, okay, so to actually make the moon expand in size and rotate, so we're going to add 2 key attribute tags in our keyframe set. Now, so this is just what I mean. So, we have key position, we also have key, sorry, that should be uppercase, key attributes. And the first, so for the motion, we're going to get the frame position, so that should be 50. And then we'll go for the target. Of course, the target is the moon. And then we now do the scale. So let it scale X, this 2.0, and then scale Y, 2.0 also. And then we'll add a rotation of, let's say, minus 360. There we can close that out. So I'm just going to copy this and just duplicate that because we're using 2 key attribute tags. So paste that. So here, our frame position, let's use 100, and the target is this. So we just want a rotation. We don't want a scale. And then let's make this 720. Okay. So so let's complete this step now. So to complete it, okay, we'll actually go to our motion editor, okay, and select the transition. Okay, we'll go to our motion editor and select the transition. So let's this. And okay. So you can see, okay, well, I've actually just done it with code. So let's just do that. I wanted to add on, but we've actually just done it with code. So you can actually see, so what we have here, the key attributes are applied at 50% and 100% of the animation. That's where these attributes will be applied. So the first one, 50%, will happen at the top of the arc. And to cause the view to be doubled in size, okay, as it rotates, minus 360 degrees, or basically one full circle. So the second attribute will finish the second rotation, okay? To finish the second rotation, that to minus 70, 20, that is 2 full circles, and then shrink the size back to the regular since we did not define scale X and scale Y. So because we did not define it, the default is 1.0. So just like key position, your key attribute uses the frame position, it uses the motion target also to add, of course, to specify when to apply the frame and which view to modify. Okay, so so key attribute, it supports attributes that can be applied to all views. Okay, they support attributes that can be applied to all views, changing basic attributes just like your visibility, alpha, even elevation. So you can also change the rotation like you're doing here, like we're actually doing here, where we have, minus 360, you can rotate X, you can rotate Y, you can rotate X, you can rotate Y, you can scale X, you can scale Y, and the likes. Okay, so just to note, multiple attributes, you can actually, modify multiple attributes at the same time using a single key attribute. So basically, like in our animation, the first one, which is this key attribute, okay, our keyframe is 50, and we are setting, it sets a scale X, a scale Y, and rotation. So all 3 attributes will be modified at the same time, okay? Now, let's do something else. We can delay the appearance of, we can delay the appearance of this on splash. Okay, so your splash is, of course, it's just we're crediting where I downloaded this image from. So credits them. So we can delay, when this would actually be when it will actually appear. So what we basically want to do is to update the animation, okay, so that this text, it does not appear until the animation is mostly complete. So to delay the appearance of this, we'll define one more attribute, okay, and then, so let's do that. I think I can still paste, okay, yeah. So let's say at 80, okay, and then the motion target will be the text, which is our credits, that's the name, okay. And because we want to, make it not visible at first, okay. So the alpha property, I want to change the alpha property, get it 0.0. So what this does now, this attribute keeps the alpha of, the credits at 0.0 for the first 80% of the animation. Okay, so since it starts at an alpha of 0, it means that it will be invisible for the first 80% of the animation. So the end effect of this attribute is that the text will not appear towards the end, from like 81, okay, down to now what appear, okay. So let's move. So just note again, a key attribute will never change the appearance of a view at the start or end of or end position. So if a view is rotated, translated, or scaled at frame position of 100, that is 100%, it will jump to its final value. So to change the starting or end state, you have to modify constraints. So let's see what we have actually done. So let's run this and see what we have actually done. Okay, so yeah, so let's do on the step 5 where we have changing attributes. So that's the activity for that. So watch this. When I click on this, okay, so no, I think it's not that. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. So it hasn't been applied. So let's check. Let me confirm. Let me confirm this. Okay, so I have a transition. Then, okay. So key attributes. So let's just run this again. Okay, so just to confirm, okay. Okay, so this doesn't give us what we want, so that means we're missing out something. Okay, so let's see. Let's see, what are we missing out here? Okay, so let's come back here and then see. Okay, so it's actually showing the position. It's not showing the attributes that we added, even though we did it with code. So let's see if we can manually add that. Okay, so the very first one, moon position of 50. Let's see. And then what attributes do we want to? Scale X. Okay, so you can actually see that here. So let me, so I don't know why I didn't, probably we did because we didn't do it from here. So just design, so can play this animation. Okay, that's for that, okay. Okay, and then, so let's come back here. Okay. So let me take this out. Let's just take this out first and then run this to be sure. Okay, and then come back here. Let's see. So we have okay, it's fine. So go back. Okay, so just to confirm, okay, this one's still the way it is. Okay, so that's fine. Now, so let's see. So let's add another key attribute, and then let me add this, and then let's do a rotation. Oh, didn't save that. Sorry, a rotation of 100. And okay. So let's see. Okay, let's get to this. So I need to confirm. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we need. Okay. Right, so this is okay. So it's not frame position key attributes, okay. And then let's get back here and then let's see. Okay. Okay, for some reason. Okay, and then the rotation. So this isn't giving us what we want, so let's try this again. Seems there's no, okay. Okay. And then, excuse me. So the rotation, let's give. So is this going to be, let me check, let's see, position. Let's say 19. And then we'll add that, okay. So that gets added. Okay. So yeah, I think that's so that's the rotation. This is for scale. Okay. So I think we need to, yeah, so okay. Okay, yeah, so let's get back here. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I was not. Okay, yeah. Okay, so So let me see. So let's bring these guys back. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this guy back. And then let's, okay, so let me confirm. Okay, so yeah, I think I know where the mistake is. So yeah, so the step 5, let's see. Okay, so this is what we added here. Good. Okay. I think I was actually in the wrong. I think I was in the wrong XML. So let me see. So we have an attribute of alpha. Okay, we have a rotation that we added. We have the rotation that has the scale X, and then we have this. Okay. Okay, so okay, that's okay. So 80, 100. So at the start, we have our moon, and then credit starts. Okay. And then this is our transition. Okay, so let's check out this again to be sure. So we have our frame position of 50, our target is the moon. Okay. Okay, I think I know. This actually now makes sense. So I was actually using at strings. Yeah, I was actually using at strings instead of, so the target was targeting it. So okay, the moon is an image with an ID. So let's confirm that now. Okay. So let's confirm that. I think I was actually making a mistake. So the step 5. So our motion target should be the. So let's confirm. So we actually have this, and it actually exists. Yes. Okay. So we can see this rotating stuff. So yeah, you can actually see it works now. So the mistake we were making was that we were targeting the string as the motion target and not the image view, the ID. Okay, we're not targeting the image view ID. So yeah, I think I just typed moon and just clicked enter. So yes, that's one of the things that's why we have to be very observant. Else you might stay on a very little bug for a very long time. Okay, so let's actually run this now, and then let's see where that takes us to. Okay, so yeah, that's the step 5. So yeah, so we have that. Yes, exactly, good. So you see it rotates, and then so the text becomes invisible. And then we click it, it has the first rotation, it scales, and then it has double of the rotation when it is coming down. So the first one is just 1 circle, and then the second time 2. Okay, so that's actually that. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. So you can actually explore on your own. Okay, you can explore on your own. You can play around with some standard attributes: visibility, alpha, elevation, scale X, scale Y, rotation X, rotation Y, also translation X, translation Y, translation Z also. Okay, so you can actually just play around with that. Now let's move on to how we can change custom attributes. Okay, so the animations that involve changing the color or other attributes of a view. So let's look at that. So now motion layout actually uses key attributes to change any of the standard attributes. Okay, it uses key attributes to change any of the standard attributes. Okay, just like that. But we can use custom attribute to specify any other attribute. So a custom attribute can be used to set any value that has a setter. Like, so a typical example, you can actually set the background color on a view using custom attributes. So motion layouts will use reflection to find the setter, then call it repeatedly to animate the view. So what we're going to do, we're going to use a custom attribute to set a color filter to the moon. Okay, so basically what we want to do is, as it's moving, let the color of the moon change. So to add a custom attribute in motion editor, okay, we'll have to first create a key attribute, then edit it in the attributes panel. Okay, we'll create a key attribute, then edit it in the attributes panel. So let's go to, so here in our step 6, okay, we already have key attributes. So this is based on what we had before already. Okay, so and then, so to make the moon change colors, okay, we're going to add 2 key attributes with a custom attribute in the keyframe set at keyframe 0, and then at 50, and then at 100. Okay, so let's do that. We can actually just, let's just do it in code. Okay, we can actually just do it in code. So I'm going to just so this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to call key attributes. Sorry about that. Key attributes. Okay. Now, this key attributes, okay, is going to have, we're going to define the frame position. We're going to define the frame position. Okay, so it's going to be at the start, which is 0. We're also going to define the target. Okay, the target, which is going to be the moon. So we need to be very careful. So at ID moon. Okay, and then inside the key attributes, we'll now call our custom attributes tag. Okay, so our custom attribute tag, we'll now give it an attribute name. Okay, we'll give it an attribute name. Okay, so I can call this color filter. And then I'm going to give it a custom color value. So we have a custom color value. So there's a lot of custom Boolean, custom drawable value, custom dimension, and the like. So but we're going to do color value, and then we're going to give it white, which is F. Okay, we need one more. Okay, so this is the custom attributes. There's the first one we have actually defined. So we're going to define another one. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this. So we need, let's do 3. Let's do 3. So for the second one, the position should be 50, that is like half. Okay, and then of course, moon is the target. So for the color, I could, so let's just click on this and pick a color. Let's see. Let's pick this one. And then the attribute name, okay, still the same, color filter, okay. And then, so for here, the third one, let's do 100, and let's take it back to white, which is F. That's 6 of it. Okay, so we actually add a custom attribute inside a key attribute. Okay, so the custom attributes will be applied at the frame position of that key attribute. Okay, to be applied at the frame position specified by the keyword attribute. So inside the custom attribute, you must give it a name and one value to set it to. So the attribute name, of course, is the name of the setter that will be called by the custom attributes. Okay, here we're using set color filter. And then, of course, we have the custom value. Okay, so this is the value of the type noted in the name. So in this, so it's just basically the value that we're going to award give, which is a color. Okay, so custom values can have color, integers, float, string, dimension, or Boolean. Okay, so just so you know, but for here, we're actually using color, custom color value. Okay, now motion layout can animate anything, okay, that provides the setter, just like we said. So let's actually just run this and see what we have. So this is the step 6. So let's run this and see what we have. Okay, changes applied. So I'm just going to go back. So run as step 6. So when I click on this, you see the color changes and then it goes back to white. Do that again, color changes and it goes back to white. Okay, so that's actually what that's. Okay, so when you actually add more keyframes, motion layout changes the path of the moon from a straight line to a complex curve. Okay, so that's basically what I've done here. We did a backflip, that's, you know, and then resize, color change, and the likes. Okay, so at any point you have a question, please you can just drop it on the chat. Okay. So 2 more. I hope we have time, but so let's just see if we have time to touch this. I don't think it's going to be much, but let's see. So let's look at drag events, okay, and their complex path. Okay, now what we basically want to do, explore more using OnSwipe with a complex path. How can we use OnSwipe? So far, okay, the animation of the moon has just been triggered by an on-click. So far, it has actually been triggered by an on-click listener, and it runs for a fixed duration. So controlling animations that have complex paths using OnSwipe, like, just like this moon animation, we actually need to know how OnSwipe, works. So look at the behavior of OnSwipe. Let me show you. So in our step 7, okay, you see, so look at, we have this already set up here. So you actually just fix this by changing stuff, but let's just look at this. So this is just a declaration, okay? This is a declaration where we declare the touch anchor ID and the touch anchor side, and we set it to bottom, okay? So let me show you what this does. Now let me click on, I'll run step 7, and now I'm clicking on it, so nothing happens. Okay, I'm clicking on it, nothing what happens. Okay, but when I try to swipe, you see something happens. I move my cursor to the edge, and then, I'm trying to push it down. Okay, but it's not really, except I really force it. It doesn't really, it's not smooth. Okay, if you can see it, it's not smooth. You see a lot of, so after the moon just reaches the top, it just starts jumping around. You can actually see, once it gets to the top, it just starts jumping around. So to understand this bug, okay, we need to consider what happens when the user is touching just below, the top of the arc. Okay, because OnSwipe has a tag here, okay, called touch anchor side, and it was set to bottom. So motion layout will try to make the distance between the finger and the bottom of the view constant throughout the animation. Okay, so, but since the bottom of the moon doesn't always go in the same direction, it goes up and then comes back down. So motion layer doesn't know what to do when the user has, just passed the top of the arc. So to consider this, since we are tracking the bottom of the moon, okay, where should we actually, where should it be placed when the user is actually touching the view? So that means when the user is touching here, which is the bottom, okay, so it just keeps jumping around because it has gotten to the top. It's no longer at the bottom. Okay, so so let's do something. So let's use the right side. So actually avoid bugs like this, you need to always choose your touch anchor ID and your touch anchor side that always progresses in one direction throughout the duration of the entire animation. Okay, so in this animation, we're going to use the right side. We're going to use, okay, let's use both. Let's use both the right side and the left side of the moon. Okay, because both the right side and left side of the moon progresses across the screen in one direction. Okay, so but however, both the both top part, it will reverse. They're actually reversing. Okay, so when OnSwipe attempts to track them, it gets confused when their direction changes. So let's actually change this to right. Okay, let's change this to right. Okay. So yeah, so just to note again, okay, the touch anchor side, okay, that is passed to the OnSwipe, it must progress in a single direction through the entire animation. Okay, so if the anchored side reverses its path or pauses, motion layout gets confused, okay, and it does not progress in a smooth motion. Okay, so another thing you can do is to use drag direction. Now you can combine drag direction with touch anchor side. So let me just play. Let's run this with the fact that I've changed it to right. So you can combine drag direction with touch anchor side to make a side track a different direction that it normally would. Of course, it's still important that the touch anchor side, only progresses in one direction, but you can tell motion layout which direction to track. For example, we can keep the touch anchor side at the bottom, but add drag direction and give it a value of drag right. So let's just see what happens here. So by choosing right, we can see it's a bit better, but it's a bit better, but still not very cool. So I can just add drag direction and then give it a value of drag right. So basically what would this do? This will actually just cause the motion layout to track the position of the bottom of the view, but only consider its location when moving to the right. So that means it will ignore vertical motion. So even though the bottom goes up and down, it will still animate correctly with the OnSwipe because the drag direction is actually what? Drag right. So excuse me. Let's try this out now and see what we have. So notice something when I'm going to drag up first. I'm going to drag up. Okay. So when I drag up, you can see nothing happens. It doesn't really, because I'm going up. So it just goes as far as my cursor goes. But when I drag to the left, you see that, or the right rather. Okay. So you can see as I'm moving, it's moving. It's far much better. Far much better. Okay. So yeah, you can actually play around with this. You can play around this. Okay, so we're rounding up. Okay, so this is the last thing. Running motion with code. Okay, so what we want to do now, motion layouts you can actually use it to build very rich animations when used with coordinator layout. Okay, so we're going to build a collapsible header right now. Okay, using motion layout. So look at, you can check out we have an activity step 8. So let me open it up now. So I have this already laid out. This is a coordinator layout. Okay, it has an app bar. Okay, it has an app bar. Now in our app bar, we have already defined the motion layout in the app bar. Okay, we've defined the motion layout in the app bar where we have an image. Okay, 2 images rather. Okay, so this is the background. This is the moon. Okay, and then we have a text, which is our on splash. Okay, we already have that. So, okay, so when you look at this, so let's look at our animation. Okay, so we're going to do a few things now. let's look at a few things. So this layout uses the coordinator layout to share scrolling information between the nested scroll view. Okay, the nested, because we have this nested scroll view here. Okay, so the coordinator layout shares scrolling information with the nested scroll view and the app bar layout. So when the nested scroll view scrolls up, it will tell the app bar layout about the change. Okay, that's the sharing of information. It tells the app bar layout about the change. So that's how you implement a collapsing toolbar like this on Android. Okay, the scrolling of the text will be coordinated with the collapsing header. So now let's see. So this motion scene that we have here, this motion scene, it points to, it's actually similar to the motion scene in the last one that we did. Okay, but however, our OnSwipe declaration, okay, we actually removed it. So let me just show you that. So okay, and then okay, so rotation X, rotation Y, those are the transforms, and then path. So we do not have this is almost the same, okay? So, but we don't have any OnSwipe here. So okay, so let's make let me just show you what we have here first. So let me click on this stage, this one now. So notice when we are scrolling, so let me just show you. This is the nested scroll view. Okay, this is the nested scroll view. Okay, now, when we scroll the text, you see nothing happens to the moon. Okay, nothing happens to the moon, okay? Okay, yeah, so let's continue. So we want a situation whereby when we scroll, when we are scrolling down, okay, there's an interaction. Let the app bar be notified, and let this moon, kind of have an animation. So to make this motion layout view scroll as soon as the nested scroll view scrolls, we're going to add a few things, okay? We're going to add a few things. So first of all, we're going to add a mean height. So we're going to add a mean height, so that's a minimum height. So let's say the minimum height of 70 dp. So it should not exceed that. And then scroll flags. Okay, so for the scroll flags, I'm going to choose scroll, okay, or I'm going to choose either scroll or enter always, yeah, or snap, or exit, sorry, yeah, or we can use exit until collapse. Yeah, exit until collapsed. So these are the two things we are going to just add. Okay, so let's add that. Now, let's run this and then see what the changes are. Okay. Okay, so changes applied. So when I scroll, you can see it moves, and the minimum height, which is what I set. Okay, you can see that I scroll, moves, and just like that. Okay, so just to note that. Now let's move the motion with code. Okay, let's move it with code actually. So So let's write some code now. Now we have a step. So in the step 8 activity, okay, so I'm going to undo this and create. I want to call this method, when we actually run this. So let's create this function. Let's create this function. So first things first, let's get a reference. So get a reference to the app bar layout. Okay, so I want us to do this in code actually. So let's go. So val app bar layout. And this is of type app bar layout. Okay, so so let's say find view by ID. Let's just find the view. Okay, and then next one, let's get the motion layout. Okay, so in code now, so I'm going to create an extension function. So I'm going to say val listener. Okay. Okay, so let's say I'm going to say app bar layout dots. So we have the on offset change listener. Okay, on offset change listener. So let's see. Yeah, I think I want to use the lambda. Okay, so where we have, let's see. Okay. Okay, so let's use that. So what we're going to now do, okay, so I'm going to create a seek position variable. Sorry. So the seek position value, so it's going to be the negative of the vertical offset divided by the app bar. We get the total scroll range. Okay, so that is app bar dot total scroll range. Okay, and then of course we have to convert that to float. So that's going to be the seek position. Okay, and then so get the progress. Sorry. Get the progress. So we're going to say motion layout dot progress. So the progress of the motion layout, okay, we're going to now pass the seek position. So we're going to update that. And then finally, we can now call our app bar layout dot the add on offset change listener, on offset change listener, and then pass in the listener that we actually just created. So basically, this code will actually just to register an offset change listener. Okay, it's going to register an on offset change listener that will be called every time the user scrolls with the current scroll offset. Okay, so the motion layout, of course, it supports seeking its transition by setting the progress property. Okay, so to actually convert that, we basically just did that. Get the offset to convert between a vertical offset and the percentage progress. We'll just divide by the total scroll range. Okay, we'll divide by the total scroll range. Okay, so just to iterate, motion layout can seek to a specific point in the animation in code. You can actually do it with code. And of course, we just do that. We do this by setting the progress. That's motion layout dot progress. Okay, so motion layout will immediately jump to the position that was specified. So for example, if you set the progress to 0.43, that means motion layout will jump to 43% through the animation. Okay, so let's run this and then let's test that out. So we should see, okay, we should see that the motion layout will progress the animation based on the scroll position. Okay, based on the scroll position. So okay, that's running. Okay. Okay, so that's reinstall and restart. So we should have that up. So yeah. So you can see that. So it actually works. So you can actually see that the motion layout progress. It will progress with the animation. That progress the animation rather based on the scroll position. So as you're moving, it's moving. Based on the scroll position. As you're moving, it's moving. As you're moving, it's moving. Okay, so that's actually that. So this is where we're actually going to call it call it timeout. Okay. So any questions before round up? Okay, so I have another class to write about now. So okay, so thank you very much for joining. Yes. Okay. So I think this is where we're going to call it timeout. So on Friday, we'll look into something much more interesting. So hope to see you all